to you live from AD Sports. I'm Alex.
I'm Day.
I'm Danny.
And in this segment, we will talk about if the overtime rules need to be changed or if they are fine as is. Day, what is your take on this one?
I think they absolutely need to be changed. I mean, we go back to all these big playoff games that end in that first possession of overtime, and it's almost like a given. You know whoever wins that toss is going to win the game. And obviously that's not the way it went, but I mean, that Bills-Chiefs game, you got two defenses that are dead tired after a fourth quarter track meet going up and down the field, and there was no defense being played at all at that point because of how fatigued they were. I mean, as the game wears on, typically, eventually you're going to score even if the defense is playing really well just because of how tired they get. So you go into this overtime with an exhausted defense and two of the best quarterbacks out there and the best offenses. Everybody knew the winner of that coin toss was going to win the game, and the team that wins might not think the rule needs to be changed, but Kansas City was not feeling that way when Brady won the toss in that 2018 AFC Championship game and went right down and scored. But, I mean, it's more than that. I think we changed it from the field goal to the touchdown initially, but the rule changes in the NFL over the last 3 decades have been to, excite the fans. We want more points on the board, more scoring, more offense. They've made it a lot harder for the defenses. It's a higher scoring game now. We want more points, and because of that, that's why it almost feels like whoever's going to win that toss is going to win that game, because we've made it into such a high-scoring game that it just seems unfair that the other team doesn't get a chance. I mean, I don't think anybody in the country would disagree that they wanted to see the ball in Josh Allen's hand at some point after Mahomes, or if Josh Allen won the toss, and vice versa. So I do think that rule needs to be changed. What about you?
Well, Day, I have to differ from you on that perspective. We all want to see Josh Allen with another possession. But at the end of the day, I feel like we should keep the OT rules the same. One particular point is to avoid injuring your star players. If we continuously go on and on with numerous drives, what if that never stops? Chiefs score a touchdown, Bills score a touchdown. What if Josh Allen tears his ACL and then he's not ready for his Super Bowl matchup? But another point is, everybody says defense wins championships. If the Bills could stop them on the first drive and they get that ball back, they can just end that game with Josh Allen driving down the field, and at that point the game's over. We don't need to worry about the overtime rule change. And also, it gives more coaching strategy for the entire game as a whole. If there's a change in the overtime rules, what the coaches probably wouldn't per se want to avoid overtime. Like, oh yeah, we can just rest our starters at the very end of the game to go into overtime to try to win it there. Whereas if you keep it the same, you can just try to win it in the normal regulation. What do you think?
Well, I think it's an interesting topic for sure. My opinion is that it's at least worth looking into if they should change the structure of it, because, man, that was just a bummer to see the Chiefs just roll down the field and end it without Josh Allen getting a possession. But my idea would be to do it sort of similar to college, because Alex makes some good points. You don't want too many snaps going on and people are getting injured, and then all of a sudden, the Bills win the game, but they've lost their star quarterback at Josh Allen or something. So I say the best way to do it would be for both teams to start with no kickoffs from the 20-yard line. There are 4 downs to either get into the end zone or kick a field goal, so that way it limits the plays as much as possible. This would continue until one team outscores the other at the end of an interval where both teams have had an offensive possession. I say no timeouts. At this point, it's sort of sudden death. This creates less room for injury, as I had mentioned, and the kickoffs are extremely dangerous, so it would wipe those out. And it gives both teams a chance to have the ball, and it also eliminates ties, which are really goofy because we don't even have those in Pee Wee football. If we don't have them in Pee Wee football, then why has the NFL got ties? I mean, when I see a team with, like that miscellaneous 1 on their record, I'm like, that is the goofiest thing I've ever seen. So that would be my opinion, is that they should change it, and it's worth exploring how to limit the snaps as well as make it so that both teams get a fair shot on offense when, everyone's tired and yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I get changing it, but the NFL and college are so much different with the way those shootouts would be, just the way that offenses run. There's a lot more defense played in the NFL typically, and I mean, that rule would kind of just favor the team with the better passing offense. I mean, you get 4 downs from the 20. If you're the Tennessee Titans and your strength is Derrick Henry versus a team that's just this vertical passing offense, it doesn't have a run game. The team with the passing offense, it's a better chance of getting 20 yards in 4 plays than the power running team. So I think that kind of makes it a little less fair for certain teams, and that's just a rule that kind of exploits. I mean, I guess the NFL is growing towards the quarterback as a star, and that's who you want to win through, and that's who you want to be the face of the franchise. So in that way, yeah, I get it, but it just kind of makes, running backs seem kind of useless in overtime at that point, because what is the chances you're going to average over 5 yards a carry on 4 straight carries? I think that just wouldn't work.
But think about it. Let's say you're playing Madden and this is the rule change. You've got the 4 hard. You're trying to call your play. The other team's on defense. They're in like a cover 3. You decide you're going to try to take it right here. You run the Tom Brady quarterback sneak. No one's going to ever think that that's coming on 4 hard, and you at least get 10, 12 yards. I mean, because the other team's not expecting it, maybe that's exactly what you do. I mean, when they're all kind of playing coverage, maybe you could sort of exploit that.
And you've seen that work how many times before?
Well, this is the new rule change that I'm proposing. So
aside from 3rd inches and 14 inches,
Tom Brady's pretty successful on the quarterback sneakers.
Yeah, 1 yard or less on 1st and 10. Why do you think they don't run that Tom Brady quarterback sneak?
Well, I think
the defense certainly isn't expecting it.
I think no one's as brilliant as me. I think that's why. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's certainly different ideas on what could be done from a changing perspective, and it'd be fun if
I just feel like they need to play more defense.
But you always see
Bill's defense is the number 1 ranked defense in the entire regular season.
That's true. That's true. They
had plenty of chances. You get 60 snaps a game as a quarterback throughout the entire game.
You're right.
It's a shootout, but.
And what is the key to winning a game? You want your defense on the field all game. They get tired. All of a sudden, they're vulnerable. They always say you want the quarterback sitting on the sideline. You want to keep their offense off the field. Keep yours on the field. Tire out their defense. At that point in the game, the defense is gassed. That's why you always see more points in the 3rd and 4th quarter.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, you can at least agree that 4 hard from the 20-yard line basically takes every running team out of it. If you're a power running team, you're done. You're not winning overtime.
Yeah, and San Francisco won't win the overtime matchup.
Yeah,
Jimmy G does not have a good quarterback sneak. Another reason why he might be replaced as a starting quarterback in the NFL. But but yeah, no, I think it's certainly interesting, and I hope if they ever do redo the overtime rules that they call us on ADD Sports and give us some airtime, because we've got some more good ideas we're not short on great ideas on overtime rule changes, except for Alex. He thinks they should stay the same, but.
Just play the defense. That's all I gotta do.
He's a defense wins championships, guys.
15, 20 minutes before they go out there. Yeah, let them rest up a bit instead of immediately starting while they're all gassed. Give them 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that one Super Bowl when the power went out, I think it was the Patriots versus the Falcons,
that was
right?
Ravens and 49ers. Joe Flacco, Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, and that totally changed the complexion of the game.
Blowing them out. Power went out. They came back, and it became a close game.
Yeah, so I mean,
maybe they need to do that again for the Super Bowl.
But anyway, that'll wrap up this segment of the overtime structure change. Be sure to like or subscribe to ADD Sports, and we look forward to seeing you on our next segment. Have a good night, guys.